Welcome to Tech News Simplified. My name is Charlotte, and today we're going to be talking about Google's fight against Geofence Warrants, and we'll be talking about the bill against weaponized robots. I don't know. It does sound like a killer robots topic. It really does. But before we talk about killer robots, let's talk about Google and their move against Geofence Warrants. Story time. In 2020, a 23-year-old named Jorge Molina was arrested and charged with murder. According to police, Molina's phone was found to be at the crime scene during the time of the murder. Here's the catch. He was arrested based on his Google location data. So after further investigation, he's been proven innocent. That's great, but not without the murder allegation causing him to lose his job and to get dropped out from school. This is one of several instances where Google's geofence data, the locational data, has impacted innocent people. The use of a geofence can implicate anyone who happens to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. But what is a geofence warrant? Before we get into the warrant aspect, what is a geofence exactly? A geofence is a method that involves setting up virtual boundaries or fences around specific geographic areas. These virtual boundaries are defined by using GPS and other location-based technologies. For example, a cell phone signal, triangulating, bouncing off of towers. It can identify your location in the world. So one of the main purposes of having a geofence when it comes to Google is that they can serve you ads that are relevant to your surroundings. If you're nearby a Target, maybe you'll get Target ads, targeted Target ads. Here's what a geofence may look like. So the geofence in this case is a circle, and people can walk into this geofence. Once they walk into this radius, the data is collected, and if they stop in the area, Google marks this area as a point of interest. And depending on how the people stay in the area creates different data. So when they leave the perimeter, then it's safe to say that they moved on and the data set is like complete. All right, so that's kind of how the geofence works. The key behind this technique is to look at the behavior of users. People move from one place to another, but if they stop there for some time, then that marks the location. And the search criteria can be widened, and even the shape of the circle could be changed. The geofence location could also be a predefined location, such as if you're going into a shopping center, it could be the shape of the shopping center. So when an area is defined, this law enforcement can obtain a geofence warrant that allows them to identify all active mobile devices in a given location during a specific time frame. The simplest way to think about this on how law enforcement is getting their warrants, it's like taking a picture of Times Square and having a company tag every person in the photo automatically. So when they request a warrant from Google, Google will give them that snapshot and all associating data. But the catch is that These warrants allow law enforcement to track people outside of the initial specified location and time. Simply, once a person is tagged, law enforcement can search and track their location history. So maybe they walked into Times Square during Christmas. If law enforcement decides to get a warrant to collect data from Google about Times Square on this day, then anyone who passes through this geofence can have their data, the rest of their locational history captured as well. So it's basically marking a person. And that's what makes the whole geofence warrant scenario really risky, because it's kind of the nuclear option of collecting suspects for crimes. This approach carries the risk of affecting innocent people. If you just happen to walk by and you get tagged, well, that's probably not going to be a good day for you, because law enforcement may reach out to you. Further, geofence data has been used during political protests and threatens free speech and our ability to speak without fear of government repercussions. So that's how. So in the past, Google's attempt to collect data on us to sell us products and target ads towards us has allowed the law enforcement to find it as a resource for collecting suspects. But it really comes down to Google, because Google is the key player in this whole process. So Google has reported that it has received over 900 geofence warrants in 2018. And by 2020, 2 years later, this amount increased over 11 times. Google is the most common recipient for geofence warrants. But why? Well, mostly because Google has proven to amass so much locational data from the devices of so many people, millions, billions of users, billions, really. They have become the first and primary provider law enforcement looks to when solving certain crimes. Simply, that means law enforcement looks to Google users first when gathering suspects. Other companies such as Apple and Microsoft, they also collect data, but Google is by far the number one resource that law enforcement looks to. The problem with this is violating the Fourth Amendment. The Fourth Amendment says that the right of the people is to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. The key word in this is particularly. Well, the key words would be particularly describing the place to be searched, the people to be searched, and the things to be collected. Because this lack of specificity is what makes this whole geofence method of collecting suspects really illegal. In fact, organizations like the Electronic Frontier Foundation has written a 4-step action plan on how Google should handle geofence warrants. If you want to hear more about the action plan or EFF's nonprofit work, you can always find the link in the description if you're watching on YouTube, or I could provide the link for you guys in chat as well. So there it is. So what is Google doing about these warrants? Google plans to shift the storage of locational data off of their servers and store it locally on the user's device. overall, this provides users with more control over their data, and it forces law enforcement to seek a search warrant for the user's device instead of Google's server. And that's actually really smart. And I'm really glad that they're doing this, because no longer can they use one warrant to target many, many people. They're going to have to get a warrant for a specific device that they may or may not know was in the geofence area. Additionally, Google will also change two other aspects of locational data. By default, the data at this moment is stored for 18 months. That means for a year and a half, everywhere you've been to, that data has been tracked by Google. But now they're changing it to 3 months, which is still, in my mind, a lot. To collect 3 months worth of locational history is still a lot. And finally, if users still choose to back up their data to the cloud, Google will automatically encrypt your backed up data so no one can read it, including Google. Which is to say, they have not been encrypting our data, at least locational data. So hopefully this does change things. Because what's the purpose of having all these changes from Google if it's not going to slow the increased reliance by law enforcement on geofence warrants? Perhaps this is the beginning of a trend towards better privacy practices from tech companies. I know every year we have more and more products with smarter and smarter, quote unquote, smarter and smarter features being rolled out that collects more and more data. If you saw our episode about car manufacturers, where the top 23 car manufacturers have had extensive surveillance on the users, you'll know that data collection is the main game nowadays. But even if this doesn't start a trend, at least people who use Google will be more protected if they so happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. So, our next topic, Boston Dynamics bill to control the weaponization of general purpose robots. So, Boston Dynamics, as you know, has been a company that has been on the forefront of creating robotics that can serve in a variety of environments. And they're the ones leading the charge to control the weaponization of these general purpose robots. A bill in the US has proposed to stop people from putting weapons on general purpose robots. Several robotics companies, including Boston Dynamics, have joined together in signing an open letter condemning the weaponization of these robots. The companies involved they are Agility, Anybotics, Clear Path Robotics, and Open Robotics. Most of these companies I have not heard of, but Boston Dynamics has been a name that has been floating around in robotic spaces for a long time. So to understand the significance of this bill, we need to understand what they mean by general purpose robot. So when a general purpose robot is a robot that can automate a variety of tasks. Most industrial robots are considered to be general purpose due to their ability to be reprogrammed or to handle different tasks automatically or remote controlled. One of the most popular examples of general purpose robot is Boston Dynamics Spot. You know, Spot, the 4-legged robot with 360-degree perception. These robots are designed to inspect locations for hazardous conditions, and capture data. Spot can be deployed to navigate staircases, open doors. They're capable of using elevators, changing floors, and even programmed to be able to swipe key cards to access different floors. Spot can be completely automated, and it has the ability to navigate these environments like door handles and pushing buttons because it's modular. Spot allows users to attach an arm or even a fire extinguisher to its back. This is Spot with a thermal camera. It can assess the size of the fire, position itself, and automatically extinguish a fire autonomously. It's capable of doing this as a part of its routine patrols, and it's able to be a first responder in these situations. But that's not all what Spot is capable of. Let's say we replace the fire extinguisher with a gun. Since any business can purchase Spot, this robot, for $74,500, which when you think about is like a luxurious car, yes. But also, this is a quadrupedal robot that can navigate inside small, narrow spaces. It's pretty impressive what you could get for that type of money. So, if any business can just put a gun onto Spot, is this something we should be concerned about? Maybe. This is an art demonstration. In 2021, an art group has repurposed Spot to be equipped with a paintball gun and set it loose in an art gallery. Users can remotely control Spot by connecting through their website. So this is actually someone driving Spot around, shooting things. Throughout the event, the users proceed to fire paintballs at various statues and boxes and other art pieces. But as you can see, Spot is not perfect. It has slipped on like one of the boxes it shot down. But overall, this art display kind of angered Boston Dynamics, the owner of Spot. They said that, to be clear, we condemn the portrayal of our technology in a way that promotes violence, harm, or intimidation. Provocative art can help push useful dialogue about the role of technology in our daily lives. This art, however, fundamentally misrepresents Spot and how it is being used to benefit our daily lives. Boston Dynamics does not want to promote violence with their robotics. But despite their statement, Boston Dynamics has had military contracts in the past. Putting weapons on Spot is nothing new. And I believe the French government has experimented with Spot on the battlefield. And Spot is also used in law enforcement's operations as well. So why the sudden push to ban weapons on general purpose robots? This is what they had to say. We believe that adding weapons to robots that are remotely or autonomously operated, widely available to the public, and capable of navigating to previously inaccessible locations where people work, raise new risks of harm, and serious ethical issues. Weaponized applications of these newly capable robots will also harm public trust in the technology in ways that damage the tremendous benefits that they will bring to society. Simply, they are cautious because it's pretty easy to get a hold of Spot. You need to have a business. You need to have like 80 grand, and you reach out to them. You probably have to give them an explanation of what you're using Spot for, and you have it in your hands. And in a way, if you had the funding, you could order tons of Spots and weaponize them. Immediately creating your own private military company. What's up, guys? So simply the goal of this whole statement, of this open letter, is to prevent regular people from putting guns on these general purpose robots. According to TechCrunch, this bill has had its hearing already. They're working with a committee on the language of the bill and making sure all robotics manufacturers are included in the conversation. They're not trying to stop law enforcement from using the robots, but they want them to follow protocol. It seems that Boston Dynamics is trying to get ahead of potential misuse of their robots. They have made a statement to TechCrunch, and it says people using the dogs to hunt by attaching guns to them and things like that. That's not something we want to see. Not quite. But as I said before, they have had military contracts. So they don't want to see it, but for a few dollars, maybe they don't mind. When this bill is completed and it passes, the manufacturing, sale, and use of weaponized general purpose robots will be banned for regular people, us, businesses that aren't military or law enforcement. Military contracts and the use by law enforcement will still be permitted. Is this whole thing a money play? Sure, I think it is. If you're licensing your robotics to that is fully capable of doing more and you're limiting its features, yeah, that's a money play. That is like a premium unlock. It's like a trim for a car. Is it going to prevent security firms from deploying a line of armed dogs? Possibly. It really depends how they decide to navigate these robotic contracts in the future. Is it only going to be exclusive to military or law enforcement? Or are they going to expand to private military companies? There's still many questions up in the air at this time. So we'll have to wait and see how the story develops. But if that's something that you are interested in hearing more about, please let me know. I will continue keeping tabs on this topic because I'm very intrigued where we're going to go with militarized robots. I hope it's not a Terminator scenario, but we're definitely going to see a lot more of them in the future. Anyways, that is tech news for today. I simplified 2 topics. One is about Geofence Warrants, and the other is about weaponizing robotics. If you have any feedback or questions, feel free to reach out to me. You can follow me on my social at Charlotte Elise. And if you're looking for sources, feel free to check the description if you're on YouTube, or you can ask me directly. Thank you guys so much. See ya!